Coming up today on Locked On Hawkeyes, Trent Condon and LeShun Daniels back together. It's been a while. We talk Iowa football with you, getting ready for the bowl matchup against Kentucky in the Music City Bowl and the craziness that is the transfer portal. We'll talk about that. We'll take a look forward to the football program. And, of course, a big win by basketball last night as Iowa gets it done over Iowa State without Chris Murray. All coming up today on Locked On Hawkeyes.
Are Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
He's LeShun Daniels. I'm Trent Condon, and this is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen each and every day. Available wherever you get podcasts. You can also see us on YouTube. While you're there, hit that subscribe button. It helps us get in front of more Hawkeye fans. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. LeShun, what's happening? Man, we missed each other for a while here, and there's been some changes since we talked last in the football program. What's up?
Yeah, no, not much. I mean, yeah, it's been a couple weeks now. A lot of things have happened, a bunch of craziness, both from the end of the season to now getting in the off season in the transfer portal and as well as the bowl game. So it's been a lot of wildness that's been going on, excitement around everything that's happened, but still all wild nonetheless.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, yeah, we, of course, had the loss to Nebraska, the Black Friday loss, as Iowa gets behind early in the game. Spencer Petras goes down. Alex Padilla tries to lead them back. And you know what? That overturn call when Regazzini made the play, was that who was up on the sideline? And they said incomplete. How can you overturn that?
It might have been Arlen.
It was Arlen. It was Arlen, yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you overturn that? But put that aside. Look, to get down in that fashion, it was so incredibly frustrating. And this is something you can speak very well to, obviously, as a former Hawkeye player. You know, the even-keeled nature of the program. Never get too high, never get too low. It leads to a lot of good moments. It leads to what Iowa was able to do, pulling themselves after the 3 consecutive losses out and win 4 straight. But also, you know, there's so much in that game. There's so much on the line. You can get back to Indianapolis. You can win a division title. You can do all these things. You can keep the thumb on your rival, Nebraska, all these things. And then to just come out flat. What is it as a player in the Iowa program? I think most everybody's played on a team. And yeah, there's going to be those days that you come out flat. A lot of times there's not a whole lot for it, but just the nature of the Iowa program. What is that like when you had one of those games where you could tell from the get-go, boy, we're going to have to come up with something today because we, for whatever reason, just don't have it.
Yeah, it's frustrating from everyone. I mean, coaches are upset, players are upset. Everyone's trying to really kind of press to get some kind of momentum, get things kind of going on your side, and nothing's working. And you're really just you're searching for someone to make a play or for something good to happen. And it can be very, very frustrating as a team. And as you said, right, you try to stay as even keel as possible. And when you get in those moments and you get in those games, it can be tough to keep it that way. Because again, everyone's trying to press. Everyone wants to make a play or the play that's going to be the game changer. And then, you know, get some people kind of out of their jobs doing things that, not focusing on the things that they need to be focusing on and trying to cover for other people and things like that. And kind of saw it in the Nebraska game in that first half. And it's part of the reason why I got down big so early. And I see, we try to come back in that second half, but when you get down like that, and you get away from doing the things that you do best, trying to make that up and come back from that is tough. And even if you're going against, not great Nebraska football team, it's still tough in Division I football, especially within your division, and you're trying to win a division title. So, yeah, it's frustrating for everyone involved. everyone gets upset. I mean, the conversations on the sideline and in the locker room are definitely heightened quite a bit. Um, and yeah, I mean, people just try to press, and sometimes you just get those results that you have against Nebraska. And there's not really too much you can really do about it. I see there's the coaches and stuff, they try to keep it as contained as possible, but sometimes everyone, people, there's individuals, and everyone's different, and teams react differently, and there's not really too much rhyme or reason for it.
Let's take it to this level. So you're playing, come out, don't play well in the first half. Kirk is a very stoic guy. Now we know he'll dress down officials. We've seen that plenty on the sideline, and he might have a choice word or two. I've heard plenty of my buddies that played in the program or people that have been around the program that say there's some language that flies around on the practice field, and he'll let guys have it. Let's go inside the locker room, the halftime locker room in the Black Friday game against Nebraska. What do you think it was like? Were there moments for you where it was the paint was peeling on the walls, or is it again that same kind of nature? Yeah, he might holler a little bit, but ultimately it's about kind of just keeping things even keel and see if we can go out there and work and clean a few things up.
Uh, so Coach Kirk Ferentz is definitely the more even kill type person, right? He'll definitely ramp up the intensity, when we get in the locker room a little bit. But a lot of times it came from the position coaches and the coordinators were the ones that really kind of laid into us at halftime. Um, I mean, I think Coach Brian's been a lot more chill now that he's been offensive coordinator kind of over the years. But when he was O-line coach, we got in that locker room and we were having essentially a half that Iowa had against Nebraska. Like it would just rip into us. Like everyone's quiet and he's just going off about this and that. O-line needs to effing block. Backs need to hit the hole, all different types of things. So usually that type of commentary came from, position coaches and the coordinators, not so much Coach Ferentz. And Coach Ferentz would still lay into us pretty good, right before we go at half, but really kind of focus on just getting our energy back up, instilling that confidence back in us, just like, hey, it's our game. You just go out there, do what we do best, and things will take care of itself. So that's kind of usually how the locker room conversations went. And sometimes they helped, sometimes they didn't. I mean, I got plenty of stories about Brian just going off in the locker room at halftime. So
Well, we'll save those for the summertime, right? When we're need a little more content, we'll get into some of those fun stories coming up here on the podcast. Coming up, we're also going to talk about some changes inside the locker room as it pertains to personnel. Obviously, wide receiver remains a need position. Cade McNamara, the Iowa quarterback of the future, the former Michigan QB, he will be coming in next season. We'll talk about that. Get LeShun's thoughts on the transfer portal, what's happening, NIL, and everything else. That's as we continue on Locked On Hawkeyes. Today's episode of the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline, a great resource for you sports gamblers out there like myself, your number one source for sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. You can get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. Football, basketball, soccer, we're down to the quarterfinals of the World Cup, esports, they got it all with BetOnline. And if you love sports podcasts, you'll find those as well on BetOnline. Always the fastest and easiest way to get your sports betting fix. Head to the website today or just hop on your phone, your tablet. You can learn more there. BetOnline, where the game starts. Trent Condon, LeShun Daniels back with you again here on Locked On Hawkeyes. Again, thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen each and every day. Continue to grow that subscriber base on YouTube as we continue to push the numbers up there. A big thank you to everybody that has made that possible throughout the past few months here as we put a cap on football season. There is still a bowl game in front of us, but LeShun, as you know, the big news right now, the big conversation is about what is going to make up of this roster being going forward. Cade McNamara, He will be the new quarterback next year, coming off a knee surgery that he had. You hope that even if he's not ready to go for spring practice, at minimum, that he's out there being able to go through summer workouts and working with guys. But he's out there recruiting right now. Did you have a guy like that? I mean, was there a quarterback that was reaching out to you, that was trying to get you to commit to Iowa, or when you were looking at BC, things like that? Because you hear, especially the way that just the structure is in college football at the high school level, guys, quarterbacks usually kind of are some of the first guys to commit, and then they become recruiters as well. Did you have any stories of that?
Uh, Not of quarterbacks. I'm trying to think. I know, like, remember there was another running back when I was committed to BC. Like, we were pretty tight with each other, and obviously planning to go to BC at the time, and we talk all the time, and just kind of recruiting each other, just make sure, like, hey, like what you planning. Obviously, you see you got other offers now and different things like that. And then when I got my offer to Iowa, I had taken an official visit. When I took my official, and then kind of connected with the guys, bunch of guys that were on that official visit, because it was a big official visit weekend, because that year you didn't make have a bowl game, so people had a lot of time that, like, kind of all season after the season, and kind of connected with a bunch of guys that were already committed to Iowa, and a bunch of them kind of started forming those connections. Then just reaching out, like, hey, you should come here, and things like that. So it was not as crazy, but you still connected with a bunch of the recruits that are in your class. Always kind of texting you. You have your group chats, and it's like, hey, like, make sure that you guys come here. Like, we're planning on doing big things, and we can obviously be a change to the program and help it get to where they want to go. So, not quite at the level that it's at right now, but definitely some recruiting, like, within some of the commits and within that class.
So right now you have Eric All. He was his tight end a year ago. McNamara's tight end a season ago. He's with him on the official visit, so they're going through that. Saw everybody making their way to the basketball game last night, so you get to do that part of it. If it falls on a weekend where there's a big home game, you'll have that a part in that component that goes into the recruiting visit. But need more than just a tight end, right? It's still about wide receivers here. If you got the call, Kirk, Brian says, hey, we're looking at receivers. How many should we bring in? How many transfer wide receivers? 2, 3, 4? It's going to be an overhaul, obviously, of what they want. And I don't know. I understand. You got scholarship limits, LeShun. You can't just take as many guys as you want. But I think I'm trending more towards that 4 number. I would love to see an overhaul. And even if you bring in guys that you think that you like, you look at the kid from Hillsdale playing D2 football. It worked out really well for Van Valkenburg. He had huge numbers. We don't know for sure if that's going to translate. Flipper Anderson's kid, he's down there playing at Charleston Southern. They're bringing him in and a visit. Okay, that's all well and good, but you just don't know. I'm more of the opinion it can't just be a couple guys. We need to be looking at maybe 4 different guys being brought in, just because that wide receiver group needs so much more help.
Yeah, I am right there on board with you, because I know we talked about earlier this year, and we talked about the receiver room, and it was like, okay, we have, like, what, 2 scholarship guys that are suited up
Yeah.
at, like, one point. Like, I mean, that is ridiculous. I mean, like,
Right.
it's like, that's crazy to think about. And when you think about how big a college roster is, I mean, heck, even NFL teams, they'll dress like 6 receivers on the active roster. I mean, you gotta have at least probably 5 kind of scholarship guys that are dressed up. And obviously, I know there's fantastic walk-ons at the Iowa football program and football programs around the country, and a bunch of times, those guys do end up being really, really good players. But it's never a bad thing to have more talented guys in a room. And being where Iowa was in the passing game last year, and you look at the receiver production from last year, and it's not like these guys aren't talented. I mean, Charlie Jones was in the room. I know everyone's sick of hearing about him, but mean, he went to
Yeah.
he went to Purdue and was, I think he's what, leading had most receiving yards in Power 5 this year, or he's top 3 or something like that. So like like it's not like these guys aren't talented, but you got to get more of those guys in the room, building off each other, training off each other, getting each other better, because it's only going to make the offense that much better. So yeah, you're right on point where it's got to be an entire overhaul of the room. And I don't even know how many wide receiver recruits think we have in the class right now for 2023. I think it might be 2, maybe. And
Yeah.
most of the time, yeah, and most of the time the athletes that get recruited usually end up playing on the defensive side of the football. So you're not really expecting too much help from those guys. So it's like, hey, it's got to be overhauled. We got to just start. I mean, not saying just, hey, offering everyone that's
Right.
put their name in the transfer portal, but still, you got to give it a good shot, and you got to try to get as many of those guys in as you can. So, yeah, I'm
Build the
right there
numbers up.
with you. Yeah, you got to build
It,
the numbers up.
well, it's funny you say that because yeah, the game, I think it was a South Dakota State game where it was just Arlen and maybe one other scholarship guy that was even available for that game.
Mhm.
You think about it. You at times are playing 5 wide receivers. At minimum, you're playing 2. I know there's a few personnel groups where you just have one out there, but
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 wide receiver looks, and you get to. I mean, think if Iowa only had 2 or 3 scholarship definitely that would be. I understand it, it's very about what are going to be. LeShun, quarterback,
Oh, hold on, you like sounded like a robot there for like a second. What was that? What was that last part?
Cade Mack.
I think he's a good player, really good player. I see lost out to extremely talented quarterback over there at Michigan and McCarthy, uh, who kind of, I guess I lost him, guys. So yeah, I think Cade McNamara is a really, really good football player. I know wins aren't a quarterback stat, but I know wins aren't a quarterback stat, but when you have a guy who can lead a team and keep the turnovers down to a minimum and control the football and help move the offense and make plays, uh, that's really what you're looking for. And I know Cade isn't necessarily coming to Iowa to be a game manager, right? He wants to be a game changer for the Iowa football program at the quarterback position. And I think he has that potential to be able to do that. Anytime you can help lead a team to a college football playoff berth, you usually assume that that guy is probably pretty good. And I mean, it's not like his stats or anything to slouch over either, right? So he's probably going to be dealing with a little bit of less talent at the skill, at least at the wide receiver skill position, than maybe what he's used to. But that's part of the reason why, again, you got to go out and get some of these transfer receivers and get some more scholarship guys in that room, because so the tight end room is pretty good. Running back room is pretty good right now. And he's going to have some weapons to deal with, to play with. So it's going to be exciting to see him get into this Iowa offense, and I'm excited to see kind of how the offense ends up changing with him at the helm and as an experienced quarterback who's made plays and who's won a lot of football games. So I'm really excited to see him, um, get into the program, get chemistry with a bunch of the teammates, and hopefully change the offense around come this upcoming fall. So, oh, I lost him again. I lost him again. Um, so yeah, guys. We can re-record. Okay. So, hello everyone. Trent's having issues on this end of the pod. So I'm just gonna try to wrap it up for the end of us for us today. Um, so yeah, I mean, we got a bunch of guys coming in official visits this week, and it's exciting to get some of those guys in and see what Iowa football is all about. Um, Obviously, when you bring in a guy like Cade, and you actually have guys like that at their quarterback position, um, dudes want to play with other dudes, right? And when you look at that and you see one of the biggest transfer portal quarterbacks come to your football program, it definitely helps out a bunch uh, with getting talented people in. So I know that Coach Ferentz and the staff are going to be working pretty hard to really overhaul the offense, because as they like they're not blind. They have eyes. They know exactly what was going wrong with the offense. Obviously they just keep it really hush hush to the media and to the public, because I mean, as much as you guys want to have as much information as possible, they really honestly they probably just don't feel like giving all that out. But they know the issues with the offense, and um getting a quarterback in like that's going to be great. Definitely making some moves on the offensive line is going to be great, and that's something that's kind of that's been understated as well. I think it started to gain a little bit more traction towards the end of the football season when uh, we were winning games and the quarterbacks were still getting pressured quite a bit. They realized that, hey, offensive line is going to be still target of need right now, and um, as long as we're looking at some transfer offensive line guys and possibly getting Proctor and on the line will be great. And then I think there's another 4-star recruit in the class, which again is going to be very, very helpful for the Iowa football program and help build back up that offensive line to get back to what Coach Ferentz and the staff envision their offensive line to be. So uh I'm looking forward to the moves that the the staff makes. I know things have been quiet right now over the last week, ever since really Cade committed, because we've had a bunch of guys that have entered the transfer portal, and um, it's sad to see those guys go, but again, that's the new way of college football now. So it's a little bit different. I have some opinions, good, bad, and indifferent about the transfer portal, but I do think it is a good thing that essentially guys get to really move around without a penalty to figure out their target destination and where they should be and how exactly the right fit for them, instead of essentially being locked into a place over 4 or 5 years and just being unhappy. So um with that said, guys, that's pretty much all I got. I know that Trent had the rest of the topics for today, but I figured I'd just round us out with you know, shout out to the basketball team, keeping it at Hawkeye State, both the men's and women's. Did a great job over the past couple nights and bringing it back. And um, that's pretty much all I forgot for you guys today. So, oh, here we go. And the man I was just speaking on, he just made it right back.
I'm back. Can you hear me okay? It looks a little iffy when I'm looking at my connection speed here.
Yeah, I mean, I can hear you good now. I can hear you
Okay,
good
all
now,
right.
so sounds all right. I basically had just talked more about the transfer portal and um,
Yeah.
just kind of where Iowa is as offense right now, and talked a little bit kind of about the offensive line and possibly getting Proctor. I know he's gotten more offers and he's taken visits, but I'm excited to see him. And then I think there's another 4-star recruit that's coming, offensive line that's coming. So again,
Yeah.
they they're going to have potential to really overhaul this offense, and we'll see what happens with it, and where they go from there. So
Yeah, that's good stuff. Hey, LeShun, really appreciate it. A quick thought on basketball. That was fun to watch last night too, huh?
yes. How about the Tony Perkins poster? So
Oh,
like I had looked away for a little bit, and then literally like right when I turned it back on, he got the steal and the dunk. I was like, oh, like let's go! Like I was pretty pumped about that. So yeah,
Tony
that
was
was a
too.
great job.
Old
Yeah.
Saucy T, he's got a little emotion out there. I just love the guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He was hollering as he's running up the floor. He's such a fun player to watch. He really is. And just show that emotion. To do that without Chris Murray, kind of that circle the wagon kind of moment. We talked about that in the football side. Ray McCaffrey, credit to him and the program that he has built. 500th career victory last night, over half of them at the University of Iowa. He's done a great job of rebuilding that program and getting them back up to, a nature where year in and year out, they're going to be an NCAA tournament team. They're going to be competing in the top half of the Big Ten. Yeah, well, we love to see a Sweet 16, a deep run in March. Absolutely. But you keep getting there, it's going to eventually happen. A lot of fun to see. And 4 out of 5 against Iowa State. Yeah, that's not too bad either, right?
Yeah, no, that's good. That's what you want. That's exactly what you want. I mean, anytime you get to beat your in-state rival, it always feels good. It always feels good and it's exciting. And yeah, and it was a great environment as well. I mean, again, we had official visits there last night. I mean, they got to tune into a great game, kind of see the Hawkeye fans show up and show out for the basketball team. And yeah, the Iowa basketball team, they're pretty good. I think that right now they're obviously working on some consistency things. I mean, there's times where they look fantastic, and there's times where they don't look as good. But we're early in the year, and if you can get into the dance, it gives yourself a shot. So I'm excited to continue to watch them for the rest of the year.
No doubt. Well, enjoy the weekend, LeShun. We'll talk to you again next week. I'll check on these gremlins here that got into my internet connection, and we'll be all good to go before next week. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Go Hawks.